What if everything you were taught about money is wrong? What if your salary is actually keeping you poor? What if the rich are not rich because they work harder, but because they think differently? Today's story is not about getting a high job, wearing a suit, or waiting for retirement. It is about how money really works. It is about the secret mindset that schools never teach. This book has changed millions of lives around the world, and in the next few minutes, it might change the way you look at money forever. This is the powerful story and life-changing lessons from the worldwide bestseller Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. This book is based on the real-life experience of the author growing up with two fathers. One was his real father, the poor dad, who was highly educated, had a safe government job, and believed in studying hard to get good grades. The other was his best friend's father, the rich dad, who never finished school but became a successful businessman and investor. Through their opposite beliefs, advice, and life paths, Robert learned the truth about money, work, and freedom. In this video, you will learn the biggest mindset shifts about money, the difference between assets and liabilities, why the rich get richer, why the middle class struggles, why schools fail to teach about money, and how you can start thinking like the rich starting today. The first and most powerful lesson of the book is simple but shocking. The rich don't work for money, but the poor and middle class do. From a young age, we are trained to study hard so that we can get a good job and earn money. We fear losing our jobs and focus only on our monthly salary. The rich think differently. They focus on building systems that create money for them even when they are not working. Poor Dad believed in job security, promotions, and pensions. Rich Dad believed in learning how money moves, how businesses work, and how investments grow. The problem is, when you work only for salary, you become trapped in a cycle of work, bills, stress, and more work. This is what the book calls the rat race. The moment you stop working, the money stops coming. The rich escape the rat race by building income sources that work for them. The second giant lesson is understanding the difference between assets and liabilities. This is where most people fail without even knowing it. Poor and middle-class people think a big house, a new car, and expensive gadgets are assets. But Rich Dad teaches that an asset puts money into your pocket and a liability takes money out of your pocket. Your house may feel like an asset, but if it only costs you money every month for loans, repairs, and taxes, it is actually a liability. A car is not an asset if it loses value and costs you fuel and maintenance. Real assets are things like businesses, rental properties, stocks that pay dividends, royalties, and anything that creates cash flow. The rich focus on buying assets. The poor and middle class focus on buying things that look rich but make them poor. Another deep lesson from the book is that financial education is more important than academic education. Schools teach how to read, write, and get a job, but they do not teach how money works. They never teach about taxes, investing, debt, or cash flow. Poor Dad believed that good grades guarantee a safe future. Rich Dad believed that financial skills create real freedom. Many people with university degrees struggle with money, while many business owners with little formal education become rich. This is not because they are lucky, but because they understand money. The rich study money like a language, while the poor ignore it and then wonder why they suffer financially. The book also explains why the rich pay less tax while the poor pay more. The poor work for money and are taxed first. Whatever is left is what they use to live. The rich build or invest in businesses. Their businesses earn money, pay expenses, and only then get taxed on what remains. This is why rich people set up companies, invest in real estate, and build systems. Taxes are designed to favor investors and business owners, not employees. This is a harsh truth, but it is the world we live in. Once you understand this, you stop blaming the system and start learning how to play the game better. Another powerful concept is that fear and emotions control most people's money decisions. The fear of not having money makes people work harder. The fear of losing money stops them from investing. Greed makes them waste money to look rich. Because of fear, people stay in bad jobs. Because of fear, they avoid learning new skills. The rich feel fear too, but they learn to manage it instead of letting it control their life. They fail, lose money, and make mistakes, but they learn from every experience. The poor see failure as the end. The rich see it as a lesson. Rich Dad also teaches that you must work to learn, not just to earn. Instead of chasing high salaries, you should chase skills. Skills like sales, communication, leadership, investing, and business management can make you rich for life. If you only work for money, you become dependent on your job. If you work to learn, you become powerful. Many people stay in jobs they hate because the money feels safe. But safety is an illusion. True safety comes from skill, knowledge, and adaptability. The book also talks deeply about mindset. Poor Dad often said, "I can't afford it." Rich Dad trained Robert never to say those words. Instead, he would ask, "How can I afford it?" This small change in language changes how the brain works. "I can't afford it" kills all thinking. "How can I afford it" forces the brain to search for solutions. The rich train their minds to think creatively. The poor shut down their thinking with fear. One of the most important warnings in the book is about lifestyle inflation. When people earn more money, they raise their lifestyle instead of buying assets. Bigger house, better phone, luxury clothes, more debt. This is why many high-income earners are still broke. Their expenses grow with their income. The rich control their lifestyle and use extra money to buy more assets. This is how wealth grows silently over time. The book also talks about the power of focus, patience, and long-term thinking. The poor think month to month. The rich think in years. They are willing to wait, learn, and build slowly. They don't chase quick money, they build strong foundations. That is why many people quit when they don't see fast results, but the rich keep going. One more major lesson is about taking smart risks. The poor avoid risk because they fear loss. The rich study risk and take calculated steps. They don't gamble blindly, but they also don't stay frozen by fear. They educate themselves before investing. They learn the game before playing it. By the end of the book, one message becomes very clear. Money is not about how much you earn, it's about how much you keep, grow, and control. The rich focus on ownership. The poor focus on salary. The difference is not luck, it is mindset, education, and action. Now, here's a simple bullet point recap of the main powerful lessons from Rich Dad, Poor Dad. The rich don't work for money, they make money work for them. An asset puts money in your pocket, a liability takes out. Schools don't teach financial education, and that is why most people struggle. The rich focus on building businesses and investing. Skills are more important than job titles. Fear controls most people's financial lives. High income does not mean rich if expenses grow with it. The rich think long-term, the poor think short-term. The rich asks, "How can I afford it?" instead of saying, "I can't afford it." Wealth is built through mindset, knowledge, and action, not luck. If there is one final message this book wants to leave with you, it is this: you don't become rich by earning more money alone. You become rich by changing the way you think about money. The moment you start learning how money works, the moment you start buying assets instead of liabilities, and the moment you choose growth over fear, your life can begin to move in a new direction. You don't need to be born rich. You don't need a perfect plan. You only need the courage to start thinking differently. Thank you so much for watching and staying till the end. If this summary gave you value, knowledge, or motivation, then please support the channel by liking this video, sharing it with your friends, and subscribing for more powerful book summaries, success lessons, and mindset-changing content. Your one click helps us grow and bring you more life-changing knowledge. See you in the next video.